This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
The off season of the NFL. You know, I know you follow the NFL. You're on the social media machine, seeing what pops and stuff like that.
Yep.
So you're an elite football mind. So when I lay this out like this, just tell me what you guys think about this, because I'm the contextualizing of things and the unpacking of the layers. I just love it. I mean, because it's everything is not from Cliche Central as it seems. I mean, pretty much everything, specifically in the NFL. It's
true.
So with the Bears, I'm going to lay it out like this. And if you need me to explain the context as to why I'm wondering this, the answer would be I can't recall Ben Johnson, coach of the Chicago Bears, saying anything glowingly about his team in any press conference that I've seen.
It's true.
And I watch a fair amount of him. And it's not like he's savaging the Bears or, you know, he'll say good things. Don't get me wrong. But he voices a lot of concerns, and he's super honest about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like they played their first offense and a fair amount of their first defense against the Chiefs. And, you know, he's like, well, it was underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's just this guy didn't do this, and this was underwhelming, and that whole thing. So here's the question. Do we think Ben Johnson is playing the long con?
Absolutely.
Do we think Ben?
has to be,
do
right?
we think this thing has a facet of lights out to it that nobody sees? And he's playing this long con. Caleb, under center, and Rome ran the wrong route, and DJ's frustrated that Swift's getting more looks in the passing game, and Loveland's trying to find his spot because of Cole Kmet. I wonder if he's playing the long con here.
You know, I think when you sit here and you look at Ben Johnson and you kind of look at what he's done over the past couple of years and his upward spiral, right, upward trend, really calling some unique stuff, and now he's put in a position where you have a second-year guy in Caleb Williams, you have a younger running back in DeAndre Swift, your top three wide receivers in DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Luther Burden are all younger guys. You had a Colston Loveland who's a rookie, so you're in a position where it's like there's future ahead of you, right? Now that's not to say that you can't put some love and some pride into what this season's going to be, and maybe have a little expectations for your fans. Get the Bears faithful fired up. But I think you're right, P.I. I haven't seen a whole lot of
I don't
excitement.
think he is.
Yeah,
I don't think he's playing the long con.
Oh, I think he is.
But I also think things are a little more squared away than you would think.
Yeah.
By just listening to Ben Johnson's press conferences.
So maybe the long con is just that he is under-promising for the potential of over-delivering.
I like that.
Now, Parker, you played for a couple of different coaches. Kind of the idea of he's going to keep the good, the bad, and the ugly in the house.
Yeah. True.
And he's going to constantly find different ways to motivate you guys for when you are on the court. But as a new coach coming in, fat contract, he's got a big project with Caleb Williams. He's openly talked about having to, quote, tear it down to the studs.
Totally.
And effectively completely rebuild this offense and this highly touted player.
Yep.
I think in some ways it's kind of like, it's not ready yet. It's a work in progress. We're just trying to be ready for week one. We're just trying to make sure we're out there and we got everything organized for a couple of weeks from now. So maybe it's not full on long con, but the under promising with the potential of over delivering.
Yeah.
I think that's the route the new coach is
At
taking
what
right
point in your career as a head coach do you start making promises and do you start talking about records? Because I look at PJ Fleck and he's a guy that's never really mentioned records or expectations. And until really this year, actually at the Big Ten Media Days, he started talking about the fact that he loves to win these bowl games, right? Loves to put himself in positions to win bowl games because it's good for the team, it's good for the university, it's good for the brand. At what point in your career as a head coach, and now we look at Kevin O'Connell, who's into year 5, year 4?
4.
What point do you kind of start
They don't do it.
We want to be a Super Bowl team, or we want to be an NFC North championship caliber team?
So social media, my only social media outlet is Twitter or X. But nevertheless, I'm not one that runs it down like your generation, TikTok, your favorite Snapchat,
Instagram,
the whole thing. Yeah. That's this generation, and it's important to you guys.
Yeah.
It just gets to be a little too much for me.
Totally.
But see, the thing is that the majority of coaches, mostly, are so conscious of everything they say.
Yeah.
Hitting social media and becoming a big thing.
Yeah.
So they pull farther back when it comes to making proclamations and stuff like that, Well, Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, should be here pretty soon. So let's fire off some things with Parker Fox here momentarily before Finchy gets here. There's really, if this is the last thing, let's just think about this for a second, because having a daughter who just graduated from the University of Colorado, either getting out to Colorado Buffalo football games, their offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur, somebody I've known for years, Dion this, Dion that, Shador this, Shador that. I mean, it was that they were royalty on that campus.
Totally.
Well, now that little run has ended. Dion's still there coaching. So now Shador and Shiloh, the kids they're trying to get into the NFL. And Shador has had at least 2 speeding tickets where my man's up there around 100, 110 miles per hour. We're talking gross misdemeanor stuff. And Stefanski's had to slap him on the hands a couple of times saying, come on, man, grow up, be mature.
Totally.
All right, well, now Shiloh Sanders, a safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, undrafted, he, in a preseason game against Buffalo the other day, this beef eater for the Bills, I think he was a tight end or an offensive lineman, just basically stood there and just talked to Shiloh, trying to goad him into doing something dumb.
And he did.
And Shiloh took the cheese.
Took the bait.
And I mean, it's so foolish, not only throwing punches during NFL games, but throwing punches at people who are wearing helmets.
I never understood that.
It's the stupidest thing ever, but the emotions of these kids will overcome them. Well, Todd Bowles, coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, said, "You're out." As Parker would say, you're out of the chat.
Yeah.
And they cut him. Yep. They waived him, which means they were going to cut him anyway, because
was he ever going to make an NFL?
Players who make the 53 have guidelines. The rest of the world has rules.
It's true.
Obviously, Shiloh had rules. So with Shador and Shiloh and their father being Dion, and their reality up until they really have to work hard for things.
Yeah.
There are people who are better than them.
Yep.
There is a culture that is not run by their dad.
Yep.
Man, it's just amazing how eye-opening all of this has been to the Sanders kids. Shoot, Shador won't even let his father Dion come to training camp.
I know.
I don't want the distraction, Dad, because that's what it's going to be. So good for him, and Shador's okay. He has a right to be okay, but Shiloh, I mean, seriously, you're throwing a punch during a game, getting kicked off the team already. Welcome to reality, right? I mean, you can fall back on mommy and daddy's cash all you want, and that's fine. Yeah. If that's the lot in life God gave you, that's your lot in life. But that ain't the lot in life with the 90 players at Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp just trying to get that 105 that you get with the practice squad because mommy and daddy. They aren't of means the way Dion is. You know what I mean?
I love this bit right here.
So seriously,
I love going at the Sounders family. Well, you're right. I think if you're a guy in Shiloh where you're not an NFL caliber talent yet, like you maybe never will be, right? You didn't do it at Colorado. You were solid, but you were never over the top. Mm-hmm. You better do every single thing right. You better have your head on so tight that everything goes perfect to plan to give yourself that slight little chance of making a roster.
Yeah.
You want to go throw punches at dudes with helmets in the middle of an NFL football game?
Right.
It doesn't look good on you. It doesn't look good on your family. It doesn't look good on your former program, your current program. Like, you're not putting yourself in a position to be successful, to impact your team and win football games. And cut them. That's the case.
If you're Shiloh Sanders and you're at the University of Colorado. There probably isn't a coach on the staff who can, Dion was a coach, so it probably was coach my son hard.
Yeah.
But if you're a player, you got to be careful how you get into him. If you're a coach, you got to be careful with what you say.
Totally.
If you're the athletic director, it's Dion's kid. You probably just look the other way on everything. You walk around campus, you're big man on campus, even if you're Shiloh Sanders. But you talk about a stark wake up when you get to Buccaneers training camp, and you got my man over here from Louisiana Lafayette, came from nothing. You got the Jimmy Butlers of the world growing up in boxes and in Ottumwa or whatever it is, something Texas. The Julius Randle, the John Randall types.
Yeah.
These people come from, they don't care who you are.
Yeah.
They don't care who your dad is. They think you're spoiled.
Yeah.
They think you're entitled, and they don't think you're as good as you think you are. And by the way, we ain't got to think about you anymore because you just got cut.
Well, those guys want to go at the Shiloh type, right? Like,
yes.
Like those guys are from it. You
Great
know what
point.
I mean? We never had the Lamborghini. We never had the golden chain. I never had a watch on my wrist. Let me go at the guy that has that stuff, and I'm gonna go and take it from you. And you saw it play out right in front of your eyes.
No, can you picture the kid that goes to Colorado and he's on some sort of specialized meal plan? He's got the scholarship and all that.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a car, needs a ride everywhere, trying to figure that out. And then he sees Shadur's double parked Lambo in the athletic department.
That should be my parking space, but Shiloh and Shadur need 2 spaces, so we're going to give it to them.
I feel bad for Stefanski. Now he's a head coach in the NFL. He's got a great spot, coach of the year a couple of times. So it's like, how bad can you feel for somebody?
Yeah.
But just the way you were laying that out, I think Myles Garrett, fresh off the fresh deal, you talk about speeding tickets. I think he's had like 6 or 7 during this time.
Yes.
So, grand scheme of things, unsafe on the road, I get that, but there have been worse things. There have been worse things that have popped up with athletes.
Miles has guidelines. Shadur has rules.
But all the same, Stefanski having to stand tall versus any potential outside influence or outside scrutiny regarding even how he raises Shadur throughout this camp session. And he says Flacco's the guy. He's got 4 or 5 QBs on his team. I think they might keep 4 on the freaking roster.
Oh, yeah,
I'd love to know that.
I mean, he's got an ownership group and a front office that continually just puts curveballs and complete disasters in its midst, and he's got to handle it every single season.
Hey, my man, I appreciate you coming by. God bless you, my brother, and we'll see each other soon, okay?
Go, baby. Love you.
Parker Fox, ladies and gentlemen, love you too. When we return, Minnesota Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch joins us from the Great Minnesota Get-Together. It's the State Fair 9 to noon style on KFAN. State Fair, Carousel Park. Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, has joined us. He's Finchy, and he's with us now. What's going on, big man?
Not much. Beautiful day to stop by.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. The weather-wise and stuff, it should be a great day at the fair. And this actually, I'm sure the memory is quite vivid for you. Mm-hmm. This is where we first met.
It is
4 years ago. It was quite memorable, wasn't it? Summer of Free.
Yeah.
And for Chris and I, we're close to the same age, both from the East Coast. I think what hit it off with you and I was we are able, and this is narrowcasting, but we were able and are able to properly analyze what Caldwell Jones was like in the post when he was trying to take Elvin Hayes down there. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say I have a big catch net for all your obscure sports references, so I think that's why we connect.
Well, they're right, but there aren't. This is not a get off my lawn type conversation. A couple of old schoolers, talking about generations gone by, but and I don't know what this is like with your players, but I mean, like with Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert. Let's say Rudy Gobert. You may be able to draw on an Artis Gilmore reference. You may be, maybe not. You may be able to draw on a Tree Rollins or Mark Olberding type reference that they're going to be like, huh? But then you show it to them and they'll understand what you're talking about. But the generation, I mean, it's like 1979 when Magic Johnson came out of Michigan State and Larry Bird came out of Indiana State. I'm not going to say they saved basketball, but I mean, basketball had a drug problem in the 70s. It had a gambling problem to a certain extent in the 70s. The games, remember when we were on the East Coast and say it was a huge game? You had to wait till 11:30 in the evening to watch the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So it obviously is blown up, but that Magic and Bird and everything that came out of it, that matters. And I think people should know about that to kind of know when the league really took off, right?
Absolutely, and that's when I became a big fan. Fortunate to come of age and start to really appreciate basketball around the early 80s, late 70s.
Yeah.
And kind of I grew up a Sixers fan, as we've talked about, but secretly my favorite team might have been the Celtics because of the style of play. As I became a little bit older and understood more about basketball.
Yeah.
But
you're from Ohio, right?
Well, I was born there, but
Okay.
I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so you never were a low-key Cavs fan?
No.
Bingo Smith?
Nope. Grew up.
Do you remember Bingo Smith?
I do. I remember the name, So
Me too.
But to your point earlier, it was hard to watch all these guys play. I mean, that's why the All-Star game back then was such a great event, because it was the only chance you could see a lot of these players play. They weren't just weren't on national television.
It's different. The workouts and the diets and everything are different now. And this is kind of an age-old question, but I mean, as closely as you clearly follow it now and have followed it over the years, is the game better today than it was when Bird and Magic took off?
I think the game itself has never been better. I think
Really?
player skill across all 5 positions is at an all-time high. I think the fluidity of the game has returned to the time of Bird and Magic, when they played a very aesthetically pleasing style of basketball. Brought that in. I think the depth and the parity in the league, 7 championships and 7 champions in 7 different years. That's what you want from your sports leagues. I realize that dynasty sells and big brands, help move the needle when it comes to TV ratings and stuff like that. But in terms of pure basketball competition and parity, the league's never been at a better place.
Are there intimate and fiery rivalries with players and teams? I think I brought this reference up to you before, and you're going to remember it. It was the Eastern Conference Finals between the Boston Celtics and the Detroit Pistons, and the Celtics they had 3 wins, and it was Game 5. So Robert Parrish, chief center for the Celtics, knew, if I punch Bill Laimbeer, center for the Detroit Pistons, if I punch him during this game because he's bugging me that badly, I'm going to be suspended for Game 6, which means we might lose. But then we'll come back here for Game 7 and win it. So he just knocked the guy out in the middle of Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals because the rivalry and the intensity between them was so palpable. It is not without the punches. Is that the case these days?
Not to that level, no. I think there's a couple of reasons. One is a lot of these players, they grow up in the AAU circuit. They play with and against each other and have relationships or friends long before they get to the league.
Same agent,
possibly. Yep. Yeah. So there's just way more connectivity, and then just player movement around the league. Guys just end up playing on more teams, playing with more players, so it kind of mutes any real rivalries. And So you don't have these rosters that stay intact for long periods of time like they used to do. So.
There are all-time great NBA players. I mean, immortality, HOF, who, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Dr. J. Mm-hmm. But like Dr. J, I don't know how well Dr. J would do in this day and age. You know what I mean? He was bigger, but not big enough. Mm-hmm. Fast, but not fast enough. Handles good, probably not good enough for that spot. You know what I mean?
I think it's very tricky to compare eras and players from different eras, style of play, etc. I think we see that right now. A lot of the commentators and ex-players that are working in the game still, they're always drawing references to when they played, and it doesn't always correlate the same way. But it doesn't mean doesn't mean they weren't great players. And if you're a player of Dr. J's caliber, top 75 player of all time in the NBA, I got to believe that you'll find a way to still impact the game today.
When did head coaches start wearing like team apparel? Well, because Casey Jones, Pat Riley, Jack Ramsey, Dick Motta, Billy Cunningham, I mean, all the coaches, they used to wear suits, three-piece suits, stuff like that. Then all of a sudden it went to team wear.
Well, this is a legacy of the bubble. Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
When we all went to the bubble during that COVID season, they just kept it casual. And coming out of that, the Coaches Association, along with the league, decided they liked it and didn't want to return. I mean, early on, we used to have to vote, as a Coaches Association, whether we wanted to be in suits or in team gear. And
so you have to be unified?
Yeah.
So, you can't roll out in a three-piece suit?
Yeah. So everybody's got it's a gentleman's agreement that we're all going to do the same thing. And, it's good for the optics of the league that we all look alike. You see it in college sometimes. One team will be wearing team gear and the other team is in a suit.
With the 2025-2026 Minnesota Timberwolves, with a right to change this opinion because training camp's like a month away, like September 29, something like that. What do you like about the squad into next season off that Western Conference Finals berth? What do you think can or will be better?
Well, continuity has got to be our superpower. That was our mission this summer to kind of re-sign as many of our own free agents as we possibly could. Naz Reid, Julius Randle were the two guys that we brought back. We've always been strong in that front court position and that's part of our identity. And then, unfortunately we lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but great for him. He was heavily rewarded by Atlanta. But in letting him go, we felt confident that the young players that we saw kind of come of age as the season progressed last year and into the playoffs even, that they're ready and able to take on a lot of Nickeil's role and his, he did a lot of different things for us, so we're going to need multiple guys filling in.
So with Anthony Edwards, there have been stories popping up about his off-season workouts and the workouts being here and players coming here and the continuity and the collaboration and the culture and everything. With Anthony, how much will him not playing something internationally aid him this year? It's been like 3-4 consecutive years or something, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Just the overall rest for him. Just like I thought playing for Team USA was great for him for a lot of different reasons. Certainly plays high level, meaningful basketball throughout the summer. He gets to work alongside some excellent pros and learn habits. But those are long summers and they feed into long seasons when you make deep playoff runs. So
right.
I think mentally and physically, it's a good break for him and all those guys. He looks amazing. 3% body fat. He just continues to kind of.
Have you ever had 3% body? I don't have 3% body fat on my foot.
Yeah, exactly. And he loves being here in the summer. Kind of sets the tone for the gym. We've had a lot of our guys in the gym throughout the summer.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. I mean, these guys this is where they want to be, and they understand. Minnesota's a pretty cool place to be in the summer.
It's a double-edged sword here, I would imagine. When you're in your not just Anthony, but 20-year-olds in pro sports who they make a lot of cash. And like in the National Football League, They get Tuesdays off. They get half of Mondays after breaking down the game. So these guys get their checks and everything, but there's nothing to do. You can't do anything with it during the season unless you want to go to Mall of America and drop 10 grand, which a lot of them probably do. But then the season ends, and it's like, okay, Turks and Caicos this, Vegas that, and stuff like that. So the double-edged sword here, I would imagine, would be, I have all of this, and I'm going to work out and get ready, and hey, say I got to work on my left-handed dribble. I'm going to work on that. But there also is a lot of free time.
Sure.
So an empty mind can be the devil's playground, yet you don't want to go year-round cycle of going 10 of 10 hard, because that's going to wear you down,
Our rhythm throughout the week is generally those guys are in Monday to Thursday. Allows for everyone to kind of get away for a long weekend.
Is this like OTAs or something?
Well, no, it's all voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're allowed to provide coaching when they come in. We can't mandate that they're there, but they show up anyway.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys have personal trainers both in the weight room and on the floor. So sometimes they spend time with them, but a lot of times they're in working with our staff, which is even better. So, but they get away for the weekend. They'll go away for a week. We'll shut down the gym here and there.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah. So it's a really good rhythm. And,
that's great.
Yeah.
And because you get to clear the mind and then come back and bust booty to try to get yourself better. I like that. I know you don't get all wrapped up in social media stuff or stories or radio or TV, but lots of Wolves conversation out there, whether it's those who cover the team or follow the team. The most operative two words are all in. Timberwolves are all in. Timberwolves are all in. Timberwolves are all in. How do you, when you hear that, how do you feel about that narrative?
I mean, we're always all in.
Yeah.
I don't see it any different. It's, when you're in a position we are as a team, like top 4 in the league the last 2 seasons. So, we know we got to get better. We got some steps to take. But, we're going for it. I think when you look at the league right now, back to our point of earlier, in the Western Conference alone, there might be only one team that's not all in. Everybody's going for it. They're going for it in the Western Conference now. There's no teams really going through a significant rebuild. So, and the Eastern Conference probably not as deep in teams that are considered all in.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be. And going through what we've gone through in the last couple of years, it's not always a linear path to success, but you got to keep rounding the edges and figuring out like the little things that you have to do.
And you're a count your blessings kind of guy, and that's without getting fat and happy. That's one thing I appreciate about you is you've been blessed to be with pretty good teams. Mm-hmm. The Nuggets with Joker, Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row here. The Raptors teams you were with, those teams were pretty good too. Like, what's the worst pro team with whom you've ever coached? Was it one of those New Orleans teams or something?
Well, yeah, we had.
And there's a point to this.
Yeah, and the 1 year in New Orleans was the year Anthony Davis asked for a trade midseason and kind of torpedoed our season. So
you got BI?
We got him the next year in the trade. Yeah, and then we drafted Zion, and we kind of started to build it back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And that was unfortunate season because we were.
Did you have Drew Holiday too?
We did. We had Drew Holiday, and
you had the makings of something there, didn't you?
We had Julius Randle too.
Jeez.
Yeah, we did. We actually.
And that's your worst team?
My worst. Yeah, I would say so. And we in Houston we had James Harden, Dwight Howard. We went to the Western Conference Final there. So. Yeah. We've been fortunate to work with a lot of good players. When you work with good players, you're usually going to have good results.
Well, the point being here, and Nordo and I will discuss it sometimes into a National Football League training camp, where the coach preach. I mean, the last thing you want is to, for the people to be like, you're full of crap. I mean, you're bloviating. This is ridiculous. Right. You're sitting here, say, whomever the worst team in the NFL is going to be, say the Tennessee Titans. Brian Callahan's not going to preach Super Bowl or bust. He may, or like, hey, they're sleeping on us, and we got Cam Ward, and we got this, and we can win the division, guys. But the preach into the whole thing, that's a tone setter, right? Yeah. And like, I don't even know my man running the Wizards these days. I don't know what he would say, but you can't be like, we're gonna We're going to unseat this team. We're taking Tatum down. I'm telling you right now, Kulabay, he's yours all season. You're going to knock him out. You can't be superficial with those preaches, right?
No, not at all.
They see right through it.
Yeah, I mean, finding the right message, setting the right tone is key for any coach, any leader today. It's about defining what your internal expectations are relative to what the external expectations are. External expectations are, oftentimes you can't control, but internally, like last year's a great example. Everyone expected us to go right back to the Western Conference Finals. Internally, we knew we were facing lots of challenges with the trade and the changes we made.
Yep.
We knew we were still a good team. We knew it would take some time to come together. I felt confident that if the team could become the best version of itself, we could do some things. But that was a bumpy ride, as expected. At times maybe we could have done a better job of defining it, externally what we thought success looked like. In the end, worked out, and we had confidence that we were going to get there in the end. But internally, we were always like, hey, this is a process. We got to work through this stuff. No one said it was going to be easy. We never thought we'd snap our fingers and go right back to the Western Conference Finals.
But last year was so fascinating in that the layers just kept piling up. In my estimation, talking to you weekly on the radio and watching every single game, is that, okay, with Julius and Dante DiVincenzo, and Anthony and Gobert and the whole thing, there will be a feeling out process. Patience will be required.
Right.
So as that thing is matriculating and coming together, Julius in that Saturday game against the Wiz gets hurt. And then he comes back and he's like, well, being able to watch it back and see what other people want to do. I see it all the time via the film, but I'm in the fishbowl.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm outside of it. I see it from a different angle, a different prism. I mean, that helped a lot right there with Randall. So then you get things squared away, you make the run, you bounce LeBron, you bounce Steph, and now you're in the Western Conference Finals. But the next layer seemed to be, all right, these guys, the new guys, and the playoffs, because it's going to be different. They're going to check differently, and things are going to be different. So was that a new layer, getting the guys, after getting them to be cohesive and play together in the season, you had to do it a different way in the postseason?
Yeah, and every series is different in the playoffs. So somebody's performance in one series doesn't always carry over because of game planning and lots of different things, matchups, etc.
Right.
Rotations, coaching decisions, all that kind of stuff. So it becomes tricky for those guys. And yeah, I think the great thing about going through these playoff experiences is as you push towards being a champion, you can really evaluate which players can meet those moments, and that's what we're able to do. And
you got the prep race, so to speak, with OKC last year. I mean, that's a legitimate target at which to shoot. Mm-hmm. And, I know you have a high level of respect for the head coach. You voiced that over the years. Super smart guy, very innovative and creative. But they get the Jalen Williams, the one who plays a lot. I don't think he's signed yet, but Holmgren and SGA.
Yeah.
This is a legit target at which to shoot. So
Sure.
How much of your off season do you spend focusing on them?
A little bit, I think I look at it through the lens of, what could we have done better? Where can we improve, from that series? But we got other teams that we got to try to beat and things to accomplish along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, you would think the path to the Western Conference is going to go through Oklahoma City, but it's going to go through a lot of different teams too.
Right.
And, so we don't ever really kind of try to zero in on one team.
Yeah.
But we just try to learn from the experiences that we've had in the past, and that's what I said, that we get a chance to kind of measure ourselves in the most intense moments.
When you departed the Western Conference Finals and you got a chance to decompress, mm-hmm. I mean, you know the Thunder inside and out.
Yeah.
But was there one thing that hit you, week 2, 3 after, going, wow, holy cow, that was unbelievable. It just never stopped, and we got to find a way around it. Was there one facet?
Yeah, I would say two things. One is I felt like we were beat by the better team. They were just a little bit better in everything they did than we were. And then secondly is we got to continue to find ways to help our best players, which is Julius and Anthony, because they just, they sold out to make life really, really difficult, which is what happens in the playoffs. And, I think there's some things we found along the way that, maybe if we found them early in the series, we could have had a different outcome.
Chris is involved with something that involves Minnesota versus Illinois. It's very important to Chris. Likewise for yours truly. We'll get into that and some other topics with Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, joining us here at the Great Minnesota Get Together. It's the State Fair on KFAN. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, with us at the State Fair. Now, Chris is on the board of Second Harvest Heartland, and Chris's appearances weekly 9 to noon during the NBA season are courtesy, in part, of Second Harvest Heartland at twoharvest.org, and they're feeding families and people all over the world. It's a very, very cool organization at twoharvest.org. Chris is on the board, and Minnesota and Second Harvest Heartland is having a contest that begins Wednesday and runs through September 8th, 2 weeks from today. It's Minnesota and Second Harvest Heartland versus the Illinois Food Bank to see who can raise the most money for those in need. Twoharvest.org if you want to help and if you want Minnesota to win. But what's cool with this is like a representative from either the Illinois Food Bank or Second Harvest Heartland, if they don't happen to raise the most money, well, then they sport the opposing market's colors of like the Vikings or the Timberwolves or the Wild or whatever. So twoharvest.org if you're interested in helping. And I know that's very important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And what better way to kind of kick off the football season with a little competition between two bitter and long-standing rivalries. And let's just rally together, get behind the community. Food insecurity is all-time high right now.
Is it?
And no better backdrop than the State Fair, which we're spoiled for choice for food here. But not everybody is. Everybody is, and it's sad to think about that. Wow. I think we like beating Chicago in any form or fashion. Mm-hmm. So leads up with great momentum to the game. I'm looking forward to that Monday night game.
Can't wait. 2 weeks from today.
Absolutely. And we appreciate all your help. We saw the spot that you put together, brother, and all the support you've given to Harvest off since
no
I've
problem.
been involved.
Did Miss Henches with Second Harvest Heartland tell you the ordeal that I was having? Old people problems here, okay? So I made this like 55-second video for this challenge between Second Harvest Heartland and the Illinois Food Bank. Twoharvest.org. Even if you'd like to give $1, it's going to help people. Yeah. But then we get to the sending part of the equation and the attachments and then the airdrops. And the producers are going to laugh at this because he's been through it with me a million times. I couldn't get the freaking video to send, and I was frustrated with it. But then she said, no, we got it. And I'm like, well, that's scary. That's like when you accidentally hit something on your phone and it's opened up like in your pocket, right, and you have no idea what's happening down there. But I'm like, geez, well, what else have I sent that I didn't think I sent? So do you ever have that problem when it comes to like attachments and emails and new age technology?
For sure. But what we love about that story is that your promo was full of energy and full of passion about what we're passionate about, which is helping families get fed.
It's the least I mean to leave my Vikings Entertainment Network area, go into the field house and record multiple takes of this to make sure it's perfect for twoharvest.org. Well, first and foremost, it's, I like to be as philanthropically sound as I can. It's the least I can do for you, man.
Yeah, no.
I mean, seriously, it's awesome having you on the radio. And the genesis of it was right here 4 years ago, where I can't say that I've had many in my 27-ish years of doing this radio show, especially head coaches or like big-time players say, oh, by the way, I'd love to come on your show weekly. Do you mind promoting Second Harvest Heartland? I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's the least we can do, you know?
Well, and so to that end, I mean, I'm going to get this kicked off in the right way. I mean, we got to get behind this. We got to get behind the Vikings. So first 10,000 are me. I'm putting 10,000 behind this. And
whoa.
I want everybody out here to get involved.
You're putting 10 grand at twoharvest.org?
I am putting 10 grand at twoharvest.org, and that puts
What'd you say?
Puts some wind in our sails.
That lady said she's going to match it. Two Harvest, can I get your credit card now? Twoharvest.org, all right? So help out. It's kicking off a football season / helping those families who are not I like how they frame it up here. It's like, let's not help them survive. Let's help them thrive.
Thrive, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it comes into it with a forward-looking, they ain't doing okay now. And yes, maybe there is survival required, but let's help so people can thrive because a lot of people are thriving. And if you have the opportunity to give, I think that'd be super sweet. But it is football season, because I was thinking, with this Second Harvest Heartland versus the Illinois Food Bank, what are you going to do if, like, the CEO for the Illinois Food Bank is Kobe White? I
was wondering if you get a Kobe White.
I had to bring it up. Kid with the hair, Chicago Bulls, seems to go for 35 against us every single game. It makes Chris laugh, but I bring it up 9 to noon. I'm like, oh, cool. Here come the Bulls. Kobe White. What's that going to be? 36?
Well, I'll look forward to seeing.
Is he ever going to be a free agent? Can he come here?
Well, I can't talk about those things, but I will look forward to seeing him in purple and gold.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Because once we win, the Illinois Food Bank people will be wearing purple and gold. Twoharvest.org. Twoharvest.org. Help to help. But also, Finch just gave 10 grand to this challenge, which is fantastic. Round of applause again, man.
Thank
That's
you.
cool.
Appreciate it.
All right, cool. Eliminate the compensation. What do you like about being an NBA head coach? Eliminate the compensation.
I get to work with the best basketball players on the planet. Mm-hmm. That's one. And I love the challenge of the leadership. It's my job is less about X's and O's. I mean, for sure that's a big part of it. But I'm surrounded by such a great staff. I'm sure Kevin would say the same thing. It's about how do you bring all that together.
Yeah,
and that's a daily challenge, and it's something that I really look forward to every day.
Take basketball out of the equation. Any idea what you would have done leaving the liberal arts college, Franklin and Marshall, in 1992 if we take b-ball out?
Yeah, I thought about being a lawyer. But
really?
Yeah, that's kind of what I convinced myself that I wanted to be, even though in the back of my mind I always knew I wanted to be a basketball coach.
Well, does being a barrister in training at that time, does it help you negotiate calls going your way with refs?
No, it does not.
Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves at the State Fair. By the way, Franklin and Marshall, that's Lancaster, right?
That is Lancaster, yeah.
Yep, and it's not Lancaster, it's Lancaster if you're from out Pennsylvania way. And I know that because I actually lived there in 1978 for almost a year with my brother before moving to California. What was it like for you spending those years in that Amish community?
Yeah, it's about an hour from where I grew up, and so it's super familiar with the area. It's a beautiful part of the world. It is the heart of Amish country, a lot of rolling hills and farms.
Rolling wagons.
There are rolling wagons as well. But it's a fantastic little town. It's become a bit of a retirement community now. It's
really
a little bit of an art scene there. And
it's Portland East.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, back to the team for a second. Just a few more minutes with Finchy. Then Kevin Gorg from FanDuel Sports North joins us, mix in some hockey. What are you expecting from point guard Rob Dillingham this season?
Yeah, great question. I think I was really excited by his summer league. I thought it was easy to see the growth that he made in a year. We're going to need him to come in and compete on defense like he's really learned to do, and also offensively could just be that change of pace guard for us. Create some speed.
He's 21 years of age now, right? No, he's 20.
20, yeah.
He turns 21 on January 4th. All right? You guys are at the Wiz that night. So maybe for his 21st birthday, you play him 40 minutes, right? What do you think of all that?
Well, I'll play anybody who earns it.
Birthday or not, right? With Dillingham, do you think he'll ever be the type to hit, let's say, 2 or 3 three-pointers a game?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I think one of the things that he does really well is shoot the ball. Mm-hmm. He's just had to learn to adjust to the length of the three-point line. It's a little bit longer, get a little stronger. As a point guard, he's always played with the ball in his hands a lot. I think in his role with us is, with Julius and Anthony, he's going to have to learn to kind of play off the ball a bit more. That changes the rhythm at which you play and lean into his catch and shoot 3-point shot, which is really, really good. But it's not something that he's utilized a lot.
Okay. So at Kentucky, he hit threes?
Yeah.
Okay. Rudy Gobert, any off-season instructions for him regarding things on which he can work to improve?
Well, like Anthony earlier, Rudy's not playing any international basketball this summer, which is big for him. I think a summer of recovery and recuperation was really important. He's played national team for every year, super committed to the French national team, as you know. And with Rudy, it's literally he does a great job of taking care of his body. Kind of just staying sharp at the things that you're already good at. Defensively, maybe we'll ask you to do a couple different things. So have an open mind on that. But, with those guys at that point, they know who they are and they know what they need to do to stay sharp.
You think Dallas jumps up with Cooper Flagg?
Oh, without a doubt. I'm not sure what it'll look like early, but he's a phenomenal player. He's generational talent.
Is he really?
Yeah, I do.
We heard that so much, but to hear it from somebody like you, who, granted, you weren't really in a position to draft him unless you gave up everything, but you still put time into it and watch him in college and stuff. He really is a generational talent?
Yeah, he's a 5-tool player,
wow.
And he's really, really good at all of them. But what's so impressive is his engine, his motor is so high, his basketball IQ is great, and that early on will carry him until he figures other things out.
Lastly, I put together some Finchy is at the fair trivia.
Oh wow!
All right, we're going to call it. It's 5 for Finchy. If he gets it right,
That's right.
Otherwise, are you ready?
Sure.
Who hit the game-winning shot to secure a D-League title for your 2010 Rio Grande Valley Vipers?
Craig Winder.
That's right.
Craig Winder.
Yep.
Where did he go to college?
Texas.
That's right.
All right, maybe we're holding it up, crescendoing to the harder ones. All right, here we go. Chris Finch came to the Minnesota Timberwolves in February of 2021 and from the Toronto Raptors. Karl Anthony Towns was your leading scorer that year. Who was second at 19.6 points per game? Your first year here.
That's a good question. I don't often pay attention to individual stats, so
Well, just think who was on the team and who can score.
yeah, D'Angelo.
Malik Beasley.
Oh wow.
19.6 points per game. Some rookie named Anthony Edwards was at 19.3 points per game.
Okay.
All right. You guys open the season this year at Portland. Who's the all-time leading rebounder in the history of Portland Trailblazers basketball? Here are your options. Bill Walton, Rasheed Wallace, LaMarcus Aldridge, Clyde Drexler, or the skeletal remains of Greg Oden?
I would say Bill Walton.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Had the longest career.
5,434 rebounds during his 9 years with the Blazers. That's 2 for 2. It's 2-2. And you never lose. So you got to get this one ready. Last one for Finchy. Which one of your current players' father was an Olympic gold medalist in the triple jump?
Oh, Mike Conley.
That's right.
Mike Conley Sr. And he's a brother that I think might be in the National Football League or maybe an uncle or something. Best of luck to you this year.
Appreciate it. Thanks
Can't wait
so
for
much.
our weekly chats.
Yeah.
And God bless you. And once again, twoharvest.org.
Thank you.
To help and help Minnesota beat Illinois. Chris Finch, ladies and gentlemen, that's sweet. All right, Finchy. Thank you, Aaron Freeman. Appreciate you. 9 to noon continues after this.